Hello. Now, the fact that the Rwanda flight may well take off today with 7 or 8 passengers on it could be seen as a Pyrrhic victory. It could be seen as an absolute defense of this policy put forward by Priti Patel and Liz Truss as a way of, in their defense against people like me and against all the bishops in the House of Lords, against the Archbishop of Canterbury and so on. Their defence is that this policy will send a message to the people smugglers that smuggling people to the UK over the Channel will not work, that those people who come over the Channel in that form will never get asylum in Britain. They will instead possibly get asylum if they meet the criteria in Rwanda. But the Rwandan High Commissioner said the other day, as a sort of reassurance, that even those people who did not meet the asylum criteria, the Rwandan government would make sure that through some legal means they would guarantee those people the opportunity to stay and work in Rwanda. So I'm afraid, quite apart from not doing its job, quite apart from being an immoral avoidance of our proper duty under the various conventions that we signed. Quite apart from that, this is in fact not going to deter the people smugglers, because they've now got a new option. So people who are coming to this country no longer need to apply for asylum, then hide if they don't meet the criteria. They can now come to this country, be deported to Rwanda, and whether they meet asylum criteria or do not, they will have a new life in a country which is now going to be guaranteed as safe by the British government. A new life in a country that was not the country that these people are fleeing from. I think this is quite interesting. And it is smack in the face to Boris's cack-handed government. I think later on, our own courts, I hope, are going to recognise that this policy is wrong. If our own courts do not recognise that this policy is wrong, I'm sure international courts are going to tell us that it's wrong. We signed up to take responsibility for those people who came to our shores and asked for asylum. It is our duty to process their requests honourably. Number one. Number two, the idea that there is an illegal immigrant is complete nonsense, and we are simply repurposing language which came from a different period and a different purpose. We are taking the language from the Dublin Convention, the Dublin Regulation, and using it indiscriminately. Even yesterday, Priti Patel was talking about the many safe countries that people could have applied for asylum. Instead, they came over the Channel to us. There is no reason for saying that. We don't have that agreement anymore. We are no longer in the Dublin Convention. Therefore, we cannot talk about applying for asylum in the first safe country in that bloc. No, we are independent. We had a Brexit. We cannot have it both ways. Mrs. May tried very hard in 2018 to have it both ways. And our government rejected that. Our parliament rejected that. And particularly Conservative members of Parliament rejected that and then brought in Boris. And the people who particularly rejected that were the Brexiteers, the main thrust of Boris's party, those people who voted for him, presumably. We can't have it both ways. It's as simple as that. So I remain sorry that the Rwandan flight is going ahead. I am absolutely determined to make the point that it is wrong, but it's not wrong because Rwanda is a bad country. And indeed, I'm sure that with the influx of people from a diverse background, Rwanda will indeed have to revise its attitudes to a GBTQ plus GB. What on earth is the acronym? I've lost. Anyway, they will have to revise their attitudes to gay people, and I think that would be a positive. So for the people smugglers and for human rights, there are some positives on the horizon. I think for this present government, the Rwandan project is a disaster, and a disaster waiting to unfold. And Priti Patel, Liz Truss, and I'm afraid Boris will all end up with egg over their faces. That is my prediction.